Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, I am Astima EMP, the last reporter from Group 1. So, we're now about to discuss the psychological foundation of curriculum. The psychological, from the words itself, psychology, meaning it is about the mental aspects of a person. Psychology provides a basis to understand the teaching and learning process. So, psychology provides basis kung paano natin maintindihan ang proseso ng teaching at ng learning. Kung ano ba yung way ng teaching at learning to make it understand. So, we have here questions which can be addressed by psychological foundations of education. Number one question is, how should curriculum be organized to enhance learning? Paano ba magiging maganda ang takbo o kalalagyan ng curriculum para ma-enhance lalo o let us say mag-increase ang learnings natin, both teachers and students? So number two questions that can be addressed by psychological foundations of education is, what is the optimal level of students' participation in learning the various contents of the curriculum? So ano yung optimal? Meaning, pinakamainam na level ng participations ng mga students sa learning nila sa various contents ng curriculum o kung anong dapat nasa curriculum. So in this module, we shall consider three groups of learning theories. So number one is the behaviorism or association. Number two, cognitive information processing theories. And number three is humanistic theories. And that is according to Ornstein and Hankins 2004. Next, association and behaviorism. So, we're now about to tackle kung sino-sino ba yung mga tao na include or my contributions when it comes in association and behaviorism. So, we have here persons that are included in association and behaviorism and their contributions are theories and principles. So, first, we have Ivan Pavlov. Ivan Pavlov is the father of the classical conditioning theory or the SR theory. So SR theory stands for Stimulus Response Theory. Ang SR theory ay isang concept in psychology that refers to the belief that behavior manifests as a result of the interplay between stimulus and response. So the key learning is early years of life is to train them what you want them to become. So ang key dito or a key to learning ay matrain sila kung ano yung gusto mong maging sila in the future, in their early years of life. Halimbawa, tinitrain mo sila na maging consistent sila or maging responsible sila to achieve what they want in the future. For instance, they want to become a successful educator, a professional, or an engineer. So, habang nasa early years of life pa sila o habang bata pa sila, kailangan tinitrain mo na sila on how they achieve what they want. Next, SR theory is a foundation, meaning isa itong basis ng learning practice ng isang tao na tinatawag na indoctrination. So itong indoctrination meaning it is a process of teaching a person or someone to accept a set of beliefs without questioning them. So the next person we have Edward Thorndike. So Edward Thorndike is also a psychologist. So ano naman ang contributions or theories ni Edward Thorndike? Si Thorndike, he championed the connectionism theory. So, ano itong connectionism theory? Ang connectionism theory is based on the principle of active learning. So, he also proposed the 3 laws of learning. So, first law is the law of readiness. And the second law is the law of exercise. And the third law is the law of effect. So, according sa laws na ito, maa-achieve ang learning when an individual is able to form associations between a particular stimulus and a response. And Thorndike also believed that specific stimulus has specific response. So that is the contributions or theories and principle of Edward Thorndike. So next, we have also Robert Gagne. So Robert Gagne proposed the hierarchical learning theory. Learning follows a hierarchy. Ang hierarchical learning ay isang systems na kung saan kiniklasify nito ang iba't ibang types o uri ng learning in terms of the degree of complexity of the mental processes involved. So, involved dito ang mental processes kasi nga we are now talking about the psychological. So, he identified 8 basic types. Ang 8 basic types na yon ay nagsisimula first sa problem solving, next, rule learning, concept learning, discrimination learning, verbal association, training, stimulus response, and the last, signal learning. Those are the Gagne's hierarchy of learning. Sinabi rin ni Robert Gagne na behavior is based on prerequisite conditions. Isa rin ito sa kanyang theory, na kung saan ang theory niyang ito ay nagsasabi na may several different types or levels ng learning ng isang tao. Ang significance nitong classification niya ay bawat daw different types ng learnings according to him ay nangangailangan ng different types of instruction. At siya rin ang nag-introduce ng tasking pagdating sa paggawa o pag-formulate ng objectives. So, that was the contributions or theory and principle of the psychologist Robert Gagne. So, the next learning theories is the cognitive information processing theory. So, cognitive meaning it is about the how people think, or the information processing theory of our cognitive. So, these following persons naman ay nagkaroon ng contributions or theories and principles pagdating sa cognitive information processing theory. So, first person or psychologist is si Jean Piaget. According to Jean, cognitive development has stages from birth to maturity. So first is the sensory motor stage, or the 0 to 2 years old. Next is the pre-operational stage, or 2 to 7 years old. Concrete operation stage, 7 to 11 years old. And formal operations, the 11 onwards, or 11 above ang edad. So yan yung mga stages mula pagkapanganak ng isang tao, or pagkapanganak sa isang tao rather, hanggang sa kanyang pagtanda. So, Jean Piaget's keys to learning. First is the assimilation, or incorporation of new experience. Meaning, assimilation is pagsasama-sama ng mga new experiences natin na kung saan natututo tayo o may mga nalalaman tayong new facts or of responding to new situations o ng mga nangyayari sa ating paligid. So that is assimilation. Next is the accommodation, or learning modification and adaptation. So, accommodation, nagkakaroon ng modification, ay meaning pagbabago sa skema ng isang tao, and later on, maa-adapt na niya ito. So, nagkakaroon ng modification at adaptation. So, that is the accommodation na isa sa keys na kailangan matutunan mula kay Jean Piaget. So, next is the equilibration, or balance between previous and later learnings. Meaning, kung ano yung tingin niya sa isang bagay noon, ganun din ang tingin niya ngayon. Kumbaga, binabalance niya yung new information na alam niya into old knowledge or informations na nagagathered niya. So that is the equilibration rather, nagkakaroon ng balance, minagtitimbang niya. So the next is Lev Vygotsky. So ano naman ang mga theories or contributions ni Lev Vygotsky na nakatulong when it comes in cognitive information processing theory? So, ang theories ni Lev Vygotsky is the following. Cultural transmissions and development stage. Children could, as a result of their interaction with society, actually perform certain cognitive actions prior to arriving at developmental stage. Next is learning precedes development and socio-cultural development theory. So, Lev Vygotsky is one of the most influential psychologists. Vygotsky died young, so namatay siya ng nasa murang edad, but had an important influence on psychology. He is best known for his socio-cultural theory. So naniniwala siya na ang social interaction ay may mahalagang role pagdating sa learnings ng mga bata. Sa pamamagitan ng social interactions, according to him, magkakaroon ng continuous process ang learnings ng mga bata. So, the next is the keys to learning. His keys to learning. So, pedagogy creates learning processes that lead to development. So, ang pedagogy gumagawa ng processes in learning para magkaroon ng development. Ang pedagogy ay isang method on how teachers teach. Isa itong practice of teaching, especially in academic. And another case to learning under theories of Vygotsky is the child is an active agent in his or her educational process. So binigyan niya ng importance yung mga child bilang active agent when it comes in educational process. So that was the keys to learning of Lev Vygotsky and his theories or contributions and principles under our cognitive information processing theory. So the next person na nagbigay ng contributions or theories ay si Howard Gardner. So Howard Gardner is very familiar. Ito yung tinatawag na lagi nating naririnig or napapag-aralan, the Gardner's multiple intelligences. So according to Gardner, ang mga tao ay may ilang different ways ng pag-process ng informations nila, and these ways are relatively independent of one another. According to Gardner, there are 8 intelligences. So number 1 is linguistic. Number 2 is logico-mathematical. Number 3 is musical. Number 4, spatial. Number 5, bodily kinesthetic. Number 6, interpersonal. Number 7, intrapersonal. And number 8 is naturalistic. So that was the theory of Howard Gardner, the multiple intelligences. So the next person is Daniel Goleman, na nagbigay rin ng contributions or theories at ng kanyang principle under the cognitive information processing theory. So according to Goleman, emoticon contains the power to affect action. Yes, dahil ang ating emotions, it's always affect our action. For instance, kapag tayo ay masaya, nakikita ito sa actions natin. Maaring ang mga galaw natin masigla. Kapag naman malungkot ang isang tao, makikita sa kanya na parang wala siyang gana o wala siya sa mood. So nakikita yon sa actions ng isang tao. So ang theory na ito ay tinawag ni Goleman na emotional quotient. So that is the theory or contributions ni Daniel Goleman. So next is humanistic psychology. So this is the third learning theories, the humanistic psychology. So what is this humanistic psychology? Humanistic psychology is a perspective that emphasizes looking at the whole individual and stresses concepts such as free will, self-efficacy, and self-actualization, rather than concentrating on dysfunction. Humanistic psychology strives to help people fulfill their potential and maximize their well-being. So under humanistic psychology, there is a Gestalt theory. So that learning is explained in terms of wholeness of the problem. Human beings do not respond to isolated stimuli, but to an organization or pattern of stimuli. So that is the Gestalt theory. It is the learning is explained in terms of wholeness ng isang problem. So the keys to learning are: learning is complex and abstract. So yes, minsan ang learning masyadong complex. Minsan nahihirapan tayong intindihin o unawain ang isang bagay. So that is learning. Kaya tinawag niyang learning is complex and abstract. So another keys to learning is, sabi niya, learners analyze the problem, discriminate between essential and non-essential data, and perceive relationships. And also, learners will perceive something in relation to the whole. What or how they perceive is related to their previous experiences. So that is the keys to learning, and the theories and the contributions of the Gestalt theory under the humanistic psychology. So the next person na nagbigay ng kanyang contribution or theory ay si Abraham Maslow. Abraham Maslow advanced the self-actualization theory. According to the hierarchy of needs, self-actualization represents the highest order motivations which drive us to realize our true potential and achieve our ideal self. So itong self-actualization theory, it is about our motivations. It represents the highest order motivations na kung saan na-realize ng isang tao o nalalaman ng isang tao kung ano yung potential niya sa kanyang sarili, ano yung magagawa niya. So, the self-actualization needs are also referred to as our being. Abraham Maslow states, "What a man can be, he must be." So Maslow's quote refers to self-actualization, which is the highest level or stage in his model of motivation, the hierarchy of needs. Abraham Maslow also believed that a child whose basic needs are not met will not be interested in acquiring knowledge of the world. He also put importance to human emotion, and it is based on love and trust. So, the key to learning is produce a healthy and happy learner who can accomplish, grow, and actualize his or her human self. So next person is Carl Rogers. So the theories or contributions and principles of Carl Rogers is ang tinatawag nating non-directive and therapeutic learning. So he established counseling procedures and methods for facilitating learning. Also, he believed that children's perceptions, which are highly individualistic, influence their learning and behavior in class. So the keys to learning is curriculum is concerned with process, not product. Personal needs, not subject matter. Psychological meaning, and not cognitive scores. So that is the contributions at the end, the theories of Carl Rogers. So the next learning theories we shall consider is the social foundations of curriculum. So under these social foundations of curriculum, we have here the schools and society. So sabi dito, society as a source of change, schools as agents of change, and knowledge as an agent of change. So, maaaring magkaroon ng change o pagbabago ang lahat, ang ating society, ang ating schools, at ang ating knowledge. Kasi, iba-ibang pangyayari ang na-encounter natin. Iba't ibang tao ang nakakasalamuhan natin. Maraming mga bagay ang nakapalibot sa atin. Every day, another experiences. So, nagkakaroon talaga ng changes ang buhay natin. Nagkakaroon tayo ng changes dahil sa ating society, sa schools, and of course, sa knowledge ng isang tao. So next, we have also a psychologist or other theorist, Emil Durkheim. He influence of society and social context in education. Things that surround individuals can change, develop their behavior. And he also considered two fundamental elements, which are schools and civil society. So the next person is Alvin Toffler. Alvin Toffler wrote the book Future Shock. He believed that knowledge should prepare students for future, of course. And he also suggested that in the future, parents might have the resources to teach prescribed curriculum from home as a result of technology, not in spite of it or the homeschooling. And the last is foresaw schools and students to work creatively, collaboratively, and independent of their age. So that is the contribution or theories of Alvin Toffler. So next is Paulo Freire. So Mr. Paulo Freire he believed that education is as a means of shaping the person and society through critical reflections and conscientization. He also said that teachers use questioning and a problem-posing approach to raise students' consciousness. And he also give emphasis on questioning, problem-posing, and critical thinking. And also, ang major book ni Paulo Freire ay ang Pedagogy of the Oppressed on 1968. And the next theorist is Mr. John Goodlad. So, ano yung mga contributions or theories and also principles ni John Goodlad? So, according to him, curriculum organized around needs of society and the students. Reduce students' conformity in classroom. Constant need for school improvement. Emphasis on active learning and critical thinking. Involvement of students in planning curriculum content and instructional activities. And also, his major book is A Place Called Schools on 1984 and What Are Schools For on 1989. So that is the contributions and theories of John Goodlad. And the last but not the least theorist is William Pinar. According to William Pinar and his theory, broaden the conception of curriculum to enrich the practice and understand the nature of the educational experience, of course, and curriculum involves multiple disciplines and curriculum should be studied from historical, racial, gendered, phenomenological, postmodern, theological, and international perspectives. So that was the contributions, theories, and principles ni William Pinar. So that was the end of my report. Hoping na may nalaman tayo o nalaman natin yung mga theorists or mga psychologists na nagbigay ng contributions nila ng kanilang theories and principles na nakatulong sa psychological foundations ng curriculum. So that all for today. Shukran for listening. So that's all. Shukran for listening. And again, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuhu.